Hey gang, DMark95 here, about ready to do a video on how to assemble the latest and greatest NCY Gen4 Clutch with all their latest and greatest components. I'll be using the secondary sleeve that's adjustable. As you can see right here, it's got adjustable ramps. It changes the acceleration band. Take off real fast and it levels off, versus your traditional, more steady acceleration band. How this works is as your clutch opens and closes, there's pins in there. Right there, you see that little pin? It travels up and down this, and it'll follow the curve, and that will be your acceleration ramp. So that's one of the nice things NCY provides, is the, I guess I'd say, the availability, or the actually the ability to do such a thing, to adjust your ramp. Now, one of the other components I'll be using is not a real popular and commonly known item. It's a bearing secondary seat for your spring. It's basically going to replace this. Now, the job of this is it sits on here, and your spring sits on that, like so. Okay? Well, what this is, see all these little tiny bearings? The bearings go in there, and you create a seat for in here that's bearing loaded, so that when that spring comes down and compresses against the clutch, it makes it for a nice and smooth transition, instead of just being the spring pressed right on that flat surface. First time I've ever used one, and I'm kind of experimenting with this and learning about it as I go. So that's the first step we're going to be doing, is assembling the secondary seat. The part number for it is, I'm trying to find the part number here. It is 2015-0406. That's the NCY. This is the package it comes in. NCY Motorsports description: secondary seat. Applicable model GY6. Okay. So, the first step, you have to put a little bit of grease. Well, I don't know if you have to, but that's the way I'm going about it. Is you put a little bit of grease down in the track of this thing. Elsewise, them bearings are never going to stick to anything. And plus, I think you need bearing or grease for them bearings anyways. I'm using Mobil 1 fully synthetic wheel bearing grease. There's a bunch of different stuff out there you can use. I'm just going with that because that's what I have on hand right now. So anyways, once you get your track loaded up with some grease, I'm gonna place all these bearings in there, and I'll let you know how tedious of a process that is as soon as I come back. Okay, so here we go. I've got all the bearings loaded up in there that I could fit in there. On the camera, I don't know if it's going to get good lighting, showing all the little bearings in there. There we go. That's a pretty good shot. But there were a few extra bearings. I suppose NCY provides those, because there is absolutely no way you can fit those in there. I just sat there spending a few extra minutes trying to get them in there, and I absolutely could not. So I can only assume they provide some extra bearings. If you run into a similar situation, I would, wager it's the same thing for you. Okay, so next step, you take the top plate and you put it on there. Let's see, you just set it on there like that. Then you take this piece and stick it through. And I'll be right back. I'm not going to be able to lift that up and turn it with the camera in my hand, so I'll be right back in 1 second. Okay, so I've flipped it over and it's all assembled. I don't want to flip it too much on an angle and have those bearings slide out. That was the whole point of the grease. Well, part of the reason of the grease was to hold them in place. So again, this is now bearing loaded with those real little tiny bearings, and we will be replacing this, our standard stock seat. I guess it's not stock because it's NCY component, but same thing as stock. So anyways, we'll take that off, and then this will be installed on here like so. You just put it on and push down. I'll be right back when I get that slid on. I don't want to try to do that on camera because I don't want them little bearings to fall out. So I'll be right back. Okay, so here we go, and I've got that installed. That does turn real nice and smooth with them bearings in there. So next step is we will put the spring in between the two, and at the top I will need my spring retainer. So just take your retainer and set it in there. Then we'll install the clutch. Once you have your spring retainer on there, you're gonna just set your clutch on top. And now this is gonna have to be compressed down, and this shaft will come up through this hole, and then you'll put a nut. Now I use a spring compressor tool. I will show you how you use that. So I'll be right back once I get this clutch loaded up in the spring compressor tool. Okay, so here we go. Here we have the clutch loaded up in the spring compressor. And basically how it works is as you tighten this down, it pushes that shaft that's got the red spring around it through the center of the clutch. That rod that's sticking out right there, that's it. So as you compress down on this, it will drive this down and push that through enough, and then you'll want to tighten this nut down. This is your main clutch nut, and you will be putting it on right here. I need to run out to the shop and get a little bit of Loctite. I'm going to put a little bit of Loctite on there. So I'll be right back, and we'll finish tightening this thing up. Alright, so I put just a little dab of Loctite up on there, and then we want to be real careful here. Make sure you don't cross thread it. And I keep wanting to do that. This is hard to do with the camera. Okay, well. Okay. So, just tighten her on down. Now, when you're done, you're still going to have to put it in a vise or something similar to hold your clutch while you put final pressure on this and tighten it down to manufacturer's specs. I have no idea what the torque specs are on this, so I'll just be having to do that by hand. So anyways, we'll be right back after I get this out of there. Alright, so I got it all out of the clutch spring compressor, and here's what she looks like all assembled. NCY Gen4 High Performance Racing Clutch, 2000 RPM Contra, 2000 RPM main springs. It's got the bearing secondary sleeves. It's also got the adjustable ramp curve. So this is all their latest and greatest in here. And to top it all off, the NCY bell. Now it was real important that I kept this whole kit NCY. I didn't want to mix and match components because sometimes different manufacturers make different sizes, and you know, things won't have the right tolerances and won't line up correctly. You know, you may have belts, and your clutch and variator may slightly be out of alignment, causing uneven belt wear. In order to drive this, I'll be coupling it with NCY's Variator. It's got extended ramps in here. It's Teflon coated. It's 115 millimeter. It's bigger than the stock. And this is a new kind of variator face they have out there. It's ultra lightweight. It's aluminum. It's also 115 millimeter removable squirrel cage fan. Really nice surface. And connecting them all together, I will be using a Gates belt. So, I will let you know when I get on to the performance review. But I just wanted to show you guys how to assemble all these NCY components, because they got a lot of neat ones out there, but they don't seem to publish instructions for any of these things. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and subscribe and give me a like, give me a thumbs up. And if you want to talk about this or anything else you've seen in the videos, you can always chat me up at www.dansgaragetalk.com. That's my new web forum. And if you're looking for any of these items or anything, you can always check my store at shop.martinmopeds.com. God, if I can speak. And anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it. DMart95, and I'm out. Thanks.